Daniel Cormier gives his take on Donald Cerrone, saying he's going to return to the UFC for 2 more fights, despite being on TRT for the past 2 years. Cowboy said that he would pass a drug test and fight in just a few months. DC says that he is against this idea. On his YouTube channel, DC said the one thing about Cowboy is that it's very refreshing to watch how he's been open with all of this. He never lied. He never lied about what he was doing, what he was going to do, and how he was going to apply it to his life. And I'm all for a guy that has personal goals, but at the end of the day, for years now, he's been openly using steroids. I like Donald now, but it doesn't matter what I feel about him as a person, as a buddy, or whatever it is our relationship is today. I don't quite know what it is, but he's not been clean. And even if he can come back, take tests, pass those tests, for him to get back, he has to do all of those things and all those enhancers to allow for him to feel like he can compete at that level again. So he would test clean, but isn't that just a loophole? Isn't it just a loophole like with the guys, when they get hurt, they get out of the testing pool, they recover from the injury, then they re-enter the testing pool? It's not wrong, it's not illegal, but is it right? Because you truly have been enhanced to get to where you are now and how you feel, and feel good enough to come back and fight in the elite organization of the UFC. To me, it doesn't feel right. Remember also, Cowboy lost 6 fights. He had 1 no contest in 7 fights, and the last time he fought Jim Miller and got submitted. Imagine if he comes back and he looks like a world beater. I'm against it. I'm honestly against the idea that you could find a loophole, go in and use that loophole, feel better while using that loophole, come back and fight because you can pass a clean test. Belal Muhammad gave some insight on the unreleased podcast he did with Kamaru Usman. Belal claims that he almost brought Kamaru to tears. Speaking to Submission Radio, Belal said, "I just hit him with the facts and truth, and I think that his ego's so big that it hurt him a little bit. He's so used to talking back and forth with morons like Colby Covington and stuff, but when he has somebody that's intelligent and way wittier, I think that his ego got involved and it started hurting him. It started stinging a little bit. Once you're a champion of the past and you see the real champion standing in front of you, I think it doesn't sit right with you. And I think for him, it hurt him to see the champion in front of him. It affected him in a way that almost brought him to tears." Francis Ngannou was not impressed with Will Tenney's attempt at the body shot challenge.
My sister is harder.
Bro, come on. Turn the hip.
Come on, man.
He's bouncing off.
Wow. I got you. Dude, can you give me some technique tips here?
Yes, I need you to whip the hip, whip it. One motion, can't separate.
Come on. Can you at least act a little bit? You gotta do that. I'm gonna hurt my hand.
It's bouncing off.
Okay.
It's bouncing off.
I give up.
Mike Perry released a statement on his recent DUI arrest, and many fans are saying that he used ChatGPT to write it. Perry posted this to X. He wrote, "I am writing this to express my deepest apologies for the inappropriate and disrespectful language I used towards members of the Claremont Police Department. I understand that my words were hurtful and offensive, and I sincerely regret my actions. I recognize the important and often difficult work that law enforcement officers do to keep our community safe, and I truly respect the dedication and sacrifice that comes with the job. My behavior was inexcusable, and I take full responsibility for my actions. Please know that this incident does not reflect how I truly feel about the police department, and I will make every effort to ensure this type of behavior never happens again. I hope you can accept my apology as sincere, and I will be more mindful and respectful in the future. Thank you for your time and consideration." Darren Till mocked Bo Nickal for the new training footage he just posted. Bo posted this to his YouTube channel. Darren Till reposted that footage. He wrote, "Oh God," with a ton of laughing crying emojis. Bo responded saying, "Love you, Darren." Anthony Smith versus Dominick Reyes goes down at UFC 310 on December 7th. Ahead of the fight, Smith explains why this fight in particular means a lot to him. Speaking to MMA Junkie, Smith said, "I've always liked the Dominick Reyes fight, for no other reason than he's one of the best guys in the world, and one of those guys that I think a lot of people thought he beat Jon Jones. He's a name. It's interesting to me, which is kind of where I'm at in my career right now. I just want to have some fun. I want to train really hard. I want to enjoy whatever I have left in my career, and I want fights with guys that I think matter, and Dominick Reyes matters to me. That's a win. You look back at, as fun as the Vitor Petrino fight was, I won't look back at that one. If I'm sitting around a campfire with a cold beer in my hand, I'm not going to sit around and tell my friend and reminisce about the time I beat Petrino. That's not the one that's going to stand out. Alexander Gustafsson matters, Shogun Rua mattered, Rashad Evans mattered, and Dominick Reyes matters, so that one is going to mean a lot to me. The more I dig into it, the more dangerous I find Dominick Reyes is, which is really fun for me. I'm really excited. I don't really give a shit about wins and losses and all that stuff right now. I just want to be the best version of myself that I can be and have as much fun preparing for this as I possibly can. Khalil Rountree says that after the loss to Alex Pereira, he has realized that he still has a lot to learn as a martial artist.
I talked to my coaches, a couple of them, and you know, we kind of reevaluated, and one of my coaches asked me like, hey man, like, I just want to ask you personally, like, is there anything you think we could have done more of? And is there anything that I could have done more of? And I said, no, I think we did everything we absolutely could, given the information that we had and the time we had. I think we couldn't have done any more. But for myself personally, after looking at it, I'm like, man, I just have a lot more to learn, you know, like that's all it is. It's just, I'm going to continue to learn. And that's the most exciting thing. And that's one of the biggest things of being a martial artist and being on this journey. You know, if people say even when you become a black belt, like that's only the beginning, right? Like there's still so much.
That's when you truly start to learn.
That's when you truly start to learn. And for me, you know, this feels similar to that. I'm far from my black belt, but it feels similar to that. It's like, okay, I've got championship experience now. I've been in there once, and this is the beginning. You know, like this is truly the beginning where I start to get to mix it up and strategize differently and use my energy differently, you know, because emotionally, when I was in there and from the start of fight week all the way until the end of the fight, I felt home. I really did feel good. I felt like I belonged there. I felt like staring at Alex across the cage was the right thing. You know, I felt prepared. Like nothing could have been, you know, any different. So I'm grateful for the whole thing.
Matt Brown does not believe that Francis Ngannou is a pay-per-view draw. Ahead of Francis' fight against Renan Ferreira this weekend at PFL Battle of the Giants, Brown says that Francis has not crossed that bridge yet the way Conor McGregor and Ronda Rousey did. On The Fighter vs. the Writer, Brown said he's not that big of a star. We watched him fight Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury because of him fighting those guys. He's not a Conor McGregor, where we're just going to watch him no matter who he fights. Even if Conor fought some lower level guy, there would be a drop off in pay-per-views, right? He's got to have a B-side also that's a B-side. Francis is fighting a D-side here. It's not a B-side, it's a D-side. And Francis just isn't big enough of an A-side to draw. We don't know how much he's getting paid, but if it's the amounts we would guess, it's not going to cover his expense, I don't think. A lot of these promoters, they need to understand we're deeply entrenched in the world of MMA, so they're big stars to us, particularly because we have a massive respect for them. Like we have massive respect for Francis Ngannou, what he's done and who he is. But if you're a promoter selling a pay-per-view, I think you have to take a step back and look at the reality of what the mainstream view on a guy is. Like Conor crossed the bridge, he hit the mainstream. Ronda Rousey crossed the bridge. Randy Couture even crossed the bridge somewhat. Chuck Liddell somewhat. I love Francis Ngannou. All due respect, he ain't crossed the bridge. I can't go down the bar right now and talk to somebody about Francis Ngannou, and they know who he is. How many people actually care? We all watched Francis fight Tyson Fury. A lot of us watched him fight Anthony Joshua. How many people are realistically going to buy a pay-per-view to watch him fight Renan Ferreira? Michael Bisping believes 26 years of age is not too late to become an MMA fighter.
I always say to people, if you feel that you've got what it takes, because a lot of people ask me, like I did a live on my YouTube channel the other day, and people are like, I'm 26, I've done a little karate or whatever. Do you think it's too late? And I'm like, no, it's not too late. But you've got to be honest with yourself. Are you that guy? Are you a fighter? And only they know that, you know, because a lot of people think they're tough or whatnot. But as you know, Gilbert, it's not about being tough. No. It's about having the discipline. It's about being willing to sacrifice and train and work hard and you know, deal with the setbacks, which inevitably will come along, being mentally tough.
Brendan Schaub reveals he had a conversation with Donald Cerrone about his UFC return announcement. Speaking to MMAfighting.com, Brendan said, I literally just talked to Cowboy before I came in here because we both do off-road racing, and me and him were talking about some race stuff. I said, coming back, huh? And he just started laughing. Cowboy's a different animal where I would assume the UFC gives him proper matchups. Like, don't toss him in there with these killers. He's a legend. He's earned that. I love Cowboy. This is how crazy his is. Cowboy has had a very successful career outside the octagon. The only reason most of these guys go back is doing it because they're chasing that dragon. They want the fame, they want the eyeballs, they want the competition, they want the money. Cowboy doesn't need any of that. That's how much he loves fighting. He goes, I just want to break that 50-50 club, 50 fights, all-time finisher, all that stuff. Kudos to him. I brought it up to talk him out of it. By the end of the conversation, I'm like, hell yeah, I can't wait. Cowboy Cerrone's back. I'm just different. Don't get me wrong, there's some things I miss about fighting. When you're racing, I race UTVs, I race Polaris. Cowboy's doing big boy races, the Nitro Circus, and he's in trophy trucks and class ones. He's doing big boy shit. It's intense, it's insane. We're talking about 800 horsepower trucks, $1 million trucks. If that's not getting your rocks off, you've got problems. We all have our problems, but it's just not enough for Cowboy. What he's doing, because I'm on TRT, Cowboy's on TRT, clearly, and peptides, whatever. I said, dude, I don't think people realize what you're doing. It's hard enough to be out of the game and then get back into it. When you're on peptides and TRT for years and you've got to get off of it, piss clean for 6 months straight, you're already against the odds here. I don't think people realize his body's going to change completely. Remember when USADA came in the UFC? And it's like, my favorite fighter looks very different. It's going to be like that, but on steroids. No pun intended. What he's doing is against all the odds. It's hard enough if he just was doing his own thing and came back, but when you're feeling that good, taking this stuff and your hormones are good, and then you've got to get completely off of it, that's a tough road. I hope they match him up right. If they announce his fight and he's fighting some killer, we'll know what they think of him. But Dana White loves Cowboy. For Cowboy too, what's different, I was discussing this with him when I was in my truck, the amount of eyeballs he's going to bring to everything he's doing, his Can-Am racing and his off-road racing, his trophy truck racing, all the stuff he's doing in Dana's Nitro Circus, that just adds value to Cowboy. He's a little different, and he does have his wits about him. I just hope they match him up accordingly. Belal Muhammad had some harsh words for Ilia Topuria. Belal says that if Ilia wants to talk in person and get slapped around, he can. He also calls out Ilia for having similar tattoos as Conor McGregor. Belal said, if you want to talk to me in person and you want to get slapped around, you can get slapped around. For myself, it's fun to trash talk these guys. But for Ilia, it's fun because he thinks he's good at trash talking, but he's not. Even with his last post, he literally copy and pasted a whole meme that Schaub shared last time. And it was like, bro, at least be original with what you come up with. You have the fake Conor McGregor tattoos, you have the fake Colby Covington trash talk, and now you're stealing other trash talk memes? This is stupid. Jon Jones posted some new photos to his Instagram yesterday, and many people in the comments accused him of taking steroids. Jon left a comment in response to the accusations. He wrote, whole bunch of trolls whose dreams never came true, stuck in the mud talking about he's on steroids. Michael Chandler had some words for the MMA Guru today. Yesterday, Guru posted a video on his YouTube channel doing impressions of people in the MMA community. Chandler was not happy over this clip.
Chandler's kids and Chandler, you know, sometimes kids, you just got to pull yourself up by the bootstraps and, you know, it's really the learning that we do as we fail. Hey, man, shut your mouth, man. We ain't trying to listen to that right now, you damn bitch, man. That's Chandler's kids and Chandler at home. Come on, kids. I mean, sometimes it's the journey that makes us who we are, right? Shut your up, man. We ain't trying to listen to you right now, man. You damn Give it 10 years. That'll be accurate.
Michael Chandler reposted that clip to X. He wrote, just shedding some light on this individual, we unfortunately have to call one of our fellow members of the human race. Do your hateful thing, man, but leave our kids alone. And he added MMA Guru. Guru responded saying it was a joke. I make jokes. It's an impression vid. You gonna call out every comedian you know and go on the podcast of every other week that you're waiting for the non-existent McGregor fight? I'm sure they've made way worse jokes. Ignore it. The f***. You're just getting it more attention. He followed up with posting this photo of Chandler and Jon Jones. He wrote, oh no, Chandler, am I hard to consider a member of the human race because I made a joke? Should I have just beat a woman into a pulp in a hotel room in front of children instead? Would that make you want a picture? The f*** is wrong with these tards? I make jokes. Get over it. And that's going to wrap it up for the news. Thanks for watching. For daily MMA news and content, subscribe to Full Mount MMA and click the bell icon to be notified when we post videos. Here are the 3 top comments from last video. The first one's from Let's Go. It says, Donald openly using steroids since his retirement and now feels like he could fight again. You don't say. The second one's from JD Mish. There's GSP showing the greatest fight IQ by staying retired. And the final one says Cerrone, Ferguson, both Diaz brothers, Conor, Masvidal all need to fight each other in a senior home. Those were the 3 top comments from last video. If you want to be featured in the next one, all you have to do is comment down below. And if you missed yesterday's news, click the video on screen right now to get caught up.